WNKY interrupts its regular program schedule to bring you the following special report.
Martin Luther King Jr. was killed tonight in Memphis, Tennessee, shot in the face as he stood alone on the balcony of his hotel room. He died in a hospital an hour later.
Dr. King is probably the most famous name within, the civil rights movement. And this event is great because it's usually a cold day. It's a day that people are off of work. They don't have to come out. They don't have to be a part of this, but so many people come out to be a part of MLK Day. The balconies are full. There's usually not enough room in this church because so many people come out because they understand this isn't a day off. This isn't a holiday where you don't do anything. This is a day where you're on. MLK Day it's a celebration, but it's also regarded as a day of service because Dr. King was a servant. So they'll go out and they'll work at soup kitchens, or they'll do Habitat for Humanity. They'll do different things to serve others because that was part of Dr. King's legacy. Every year we kind of evolve it a little bit. This year we've in the past 2 or 3 years, we've expanded it from just having one day event or a couple of days to kind of almost a week. So what we usually do on Wednesday night, the Wednesday before MLK Day, we kick off the MLK celebration with a program titled A Night with the King. And then on Sunday, we'll have a youth event for the community, whether black or white, just for us to get a chance to talk to the youth, because they're going to face inequality, they're going to face racism, they're going to face sexism. Here are some topics we can talk about. And then on Monday, we have our traditional MLK breakfast, which is a chance for us to come together and fellowship through a meal. Then we have our march, which is usually starts at the Justice Center and makes its way over here to State Street Baptist Church, which is in commemoration of Dr. King and the many marches that he led and took a part in when he was alive. And then we have our main service here at State Street Baptist Church, and that's a chance to culminate the entire week where we celebrate Dr. King and his life and his legacy. We have a humanitarian award where we give out to somebody in the community for their great works. And we just try to focus in on the spirit of the day, the spirit of what Dr. King's message was back then when he was giving it, and what the message means to us now here in 2019. And to understand that we're not there yet. We're better, we've made strides, but we are not a country that is completely devoid of racism. We may never be that, but these youth, it's up to them to take the mantle now. Our parents, our grandparents, they're passing away. They're the ones who went through the struggles, went through the civil rights movement. And so now these youth are 40, 50, 60 years removed from that. They've never struggled like our parents, like our grandparents have. They haven't hopefully had situations where they were attacked by dogs or lynched or anything like that. So they may not comprehend it like the older generation does. So it's our job to educate them. Here's what the past looked like. Here's what we're going through now. Here's what you might have to go through if you don't stand up, if you don't fight for racial equality, if you don't fight for love and tolerance and peace for your fellow man.
Alice Whitlow, she is a phenomenal woman. I believe that if you ever encountered her, you never forget her. Whether it was in passing, whether it was in just her smile, her warmth, she just was a true Proverbs 31 woman, just the woman who always took care of everything and everybody. She was a phenomenal woman.
Mama had one of the biggest hearts. She was a woman who not only talked the talk, but she walked the walk. She was, for me, just an example of beauty inside and out. She loved on people. She fed people. I'm a social worker now, and I remember when I was getting into grad school and I had to talk about my first experience with social workers, I referenced my parents because I seen them open our home up to people that we didn't know, strangers that would come off the street, and they would feed them, provide them housing, and she would love on them. She was our mom, but she became mom to so many people.
No matter how sick she was always there, willing to help. Even when she didn't feel like it, she was always there. And she was one that kept you in line. If you were supposed to do something and you didn't do it, she would definitely let you know.
She just loved everybody and exuded love and kindness. And she was part of the Relay for Life ministry for a long time as well, even before she was diagnosed with cancer, and not realizing that it would someday become part of her life. But she was always just a strong advocate as far as working and trying to find a cure and doing whatever we could to support that fight against cancer.
Our Relay for Life efforts, we pray that more people will get involved in it, because one never knows where cancer might strike their family.
I was with Mom whenever we initially found out that she might have cancer. We went to Nashville, and the doctor did a test, and the test showed that she had cancer. They didn't know what kind of cancer. So as we were driving back from Nashville, I cried from Nashville to Bowling Green. And Mom was like, "Why are you crying? It's gonna be okay." And I'm like, "Because you have cancer." And she was like, "But it's okay, it's gonna be okay."
When I watched the process and I watched her abilities decrease, when I seen how it attacked her body, and you know, and a woman who was used to getting up and going to do what she normally would do, when she couldn't do just some of the simple things, like even feed herself and things like that, I looked at that and I'm like, man, look at how cancer attacks the body. But one thing cancer didn't do, and it never did, was attack her mind. It didn't change who she was deep on the inside. It didn't waver her faith. And so to me, cancer has the ability to make you doubt everything. If cancer can change who you are in a person, then cancer wins, but cancer didn't win.
Some people meet cancer and they shut down, but my mom wasn't one of those people. She never allowed cancer to influence who she was. If anything, cancer met her and took a knee, because my mom got the victory. She just was a fighter. She's a fighter. And I wanted to join in that fight and join in the Relay for Life for her. Through her children, we carry her legacy.
Hello, my name is Tej Joshi. I just moved here from Miami, Florida, and I'm super excited because I'm the new host of Soki Sunrise. So I went to the University of Miami and I studied broadcast journalism there, so pretty much exactly what I'm doing here and what I wanted to be doing. We had a really cool program there where I was actually able to, you know, have some hosting experience before I came here. I was able to host our student-run late-night show there. Oh, hello. I am your host, Tej Joshi. Welcome to Off the Wire. And I'm really glad I was able to turn that into a career as a professional TV host, because that's my dream. That's what I want to be doing, and I'm thankful enough to be doing that here. I mean, you see the videos and like the movies of Miami with all the flash and the Ferraris, you know, and you know, South Beach with all the parties and stuff. And part of it's true, but as a student, you don't get to experience it all the time. You get a little taste now and then, maybe once a month, once every couple, 2 months. No, don't get me wrong, we still have a good time, but you know, you got to work hard, you got to, you know, do all your classes, and you got to, you know, make all your broadcast content. But being so close to Miami, you do get a little bit of that taste of that flavor. Going to Miami Beach, you know, going on boats and stuff like that. You do get to do that, just not as much as the movies make it seem. Obviously, there's a big difference between here in Bowling Green and Miami. You know, surface level, of course, the people look different, the weather is different, but there's a lot of other changes too. You know, Bowling Green is a lot smaller city than Miami, you know, albeit Bowling Green is not as small as I thought it would be before I got here, so I'm really glad about that. But, you know, it's definitely smaller, and there's, you know, one thankful thing about it, there's no traffic. I mean, some people here consider this to be traffic, but when I'm from Miami, when I'm from DC, I know this isn't traffic. A couple of things I did at school that I'm actually really hopeful I'll be able to translate into something here is I did a series on food at the University of Miami called Food Finds, where I, you know, profile local restaurants, and I'm hoping to do a very similar, if not kind of the same thing here with Let's Make a Meal, one of our segments that airs at Soki at noon. I'll be taking that segment over, and I'm really glad because I have all that experience with food, and there's so many other cool segments I'll be taking over here, like Soki's Choice, where I get to do cool things out with, you know, people in the community, cool activities which I'm really excited about as well. I'm really excited to be the new host here. I hope that I can bring in some of my creativity and a little bit of my eccentricness, into the role. I'm hoping to be a little bit crazy, not too much, but just enough to make Soki Sunrise lots of fun for all the viewers at home. In my time here so far, I've already started to explore Bowling Green, and all the places I've seen so far are actually really beautiful. I love the downtown, the Fountain Square Park. Everything there is really nice. The buildings there are really well put together, and I enjoy spending my time there. And I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the Bowling Green area and the greater South Central Kentucky area. I've heard there's really beautiful caves here, which I haven't had the chance to see yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that. And we've got all kinds of rivers and lakes in the area. I love the water. Miami, I had the ocean and the bay right there, but here I got rivers and lakes, and I'm sure it will be great too. Just in the summertime. Miami, we're lucky to be able to go in the water all year round. I hope when people are watching this show, they expect not to know what's coming at all. They are not expecting anything, really. I want to be able to, keep our viewers on their toes. I'll be trying new things. That way you can try those things also if you like it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to. But I want to be the one who can try those things, show you on the show, and that way you'll know if it's something for you or if it's not something for you. But it's who I am. I like to try all kinds of weird and crazy things, which are fun for me and hopefully for you also.
From the candy apples to the Ferris wheels, there's a buzz of energy in the air at the Southern Kentucky Fairgrounds.
Break it up! Snap it! Break it! Break it up! It's good!
And on Tuesday night, the buzz was not just because of the rides, but also wrestling. It has been over 20 years since pro wrestling has been held at the Soki Fairgrounds, and for many people, Tuesday night was more than entertainment, it was a homecoming. AWA New South Wrestling's James Carver and United Pro Wrestling's Randall Shane had the bright idea to bring wrestling back to a pivotal place in its history. Shane, a Bowling Green native, reflects on his personal history with pro wrestling at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, my first live wrestling event was in October of 1992, right here at the Southern Kentucky Fairgrounds. A promoter named Dale Mann, who was a primary promoter of Bowling Green for many, many years. And he would run every Sunday night right at the JC Pavilion up on top of the hill. Wrestling's actually been in this building before. They would run it during the fair periodically. They would do mud wrestling. They actually had Jello wrestling once here. A promoter named JW Wildfire, he ran here a few months back in the early 2000s. And I think other promoters came and gone, but nobody's actually ran it regularly since Dale Mann in the early 90s.
LT Falk is the son of a man that WWE Hall of Fame commentator Jim Ross has called a carpenter who helped build a lot of wrestlers' careers, Tony Falk. Falk has wrestled everyone from Dusty Rhodes to a young Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he has also wrestled right here at the Soki Fairgrounds. Now his son LT looks to follow in his famous father's footsteps.
As an active professional wrestler, coming up in August, it will be 16 years. But my mother was a performer, my father was a performer, so I was kind of thrown into the wrestling business, But for about 16 years now, I've been putting the tights and the boots on, entertaining these fans the best I can.
Kill it! Choke it! Let him go! Oh, no!
Man, it's so surreal, being a young kid. I used to eat, sleep, and dream professional wrestling, all the video games and the toys, going to the live events, watching my mother and my father do their thing, and sure enough, not everybody gets to chase a dream, but I had a dream, I chased it, I lived it, and it means a lot to me. There would be no LT Falk. There would be no UPW, no UCW, and no New South Championship Wrestling if it wasn't for these fans and their great support. So it means a lot to me to come through those curtains, my music's playing, and getting these people on their feet or at the edge of their seat. It means a lot to me.
As the night progressed, more and more fans poured in to watch the wrestling action. For some fans, it was an introduction to pro wrestling, but to others, it was showing support for a business that has simply returned to their neck of the woods.
Go, Key, go! Go, Key, go!
Shane is thankful for the opportunity to hold a wrestling show at the Soki Fair, where many before him have appeared.
I want to thank personally the Southern Kentucky Fair and the Warren County JCs Tanya Harmon and Alex Marlin for inviting us out and letting us hold this great event here at the Southern Kentucky Fair.
You're winning tonight,
So if you were a traveling motorist back in the day during segregation, Aaron, you would have this book. And if you was coming to Kentucky or through Kentucky, you would go Bowling Green, Nancy's Tea Room, good food served right, dinner, short order, sandwiches, half block off 31W, that was the main road back then. Sandwiches, Nancy Brown, proprietor, open at 6 a.m., 415, 3rd Avenue, Bowling Green, Kentucky. So you go right back there. It's been demolished. But if you was a traveling motorist back then, African American, this is one of the places that you would stop at, all because of this book right here.
The book that Shake Rag Barbershop owner Chris Page is referring to is the Negro Motorist Green Book, or simply known as the Green Book, a book created by Victor Hugo Green to help aid African American motorists traveling from the North through the Jim Crow segregated South, including right here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Nancy's Tea Room was not the only African-American owned eatery in Bowling Green. There was also the Mustang Inn, 31W restaurant, and a handful of juke joints that sold food as well as entertainment, but only one of them made the Green Book. The Green Book was recently made popular by the 2018 Academy Award-winning film for Best Picture, The Green Book, starring the Academy Award-nominated Viggo Mortensen and the Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali, about a classically trained pianist traveling through the South in the 1960s. Longtime resident Clyde Cook reflects on the place that was once Nancy's Tea Room and the people who ran it.
Nancy's Tea Room in my back here was the only eating place for Afro-Americans in Bowling Green at the time for a sit-down dinner. Now we had, up here we had the Mustang Inn. And most time, that's where everybody went, Nancy's Tea Room. Nancy and her husband lived right down the street here. So it was good food and everything.
Cook, who lived in Bowling Green during segregation, remembers what life was like being African American under the Jim Crow law.
We stayed in our section and we all had a good time. It wasn't too bad here, but it could have been better.
Page believes that the black entrepreneurship that was once vibrant throughout the Shake Rag Historic District is still vital to the revitalization efforts in the community.
Well, during segregation, if you've seen the movie, The Green Book, that was based off this book by Victor Green. So during segregation, black entrepreneurship was at an all-time high because if you was coming from out of town, Nancy's Tea Room was one of the only places that you could go and get food. You had the Mustang Inn, which was right up the street from us, but it was important that you could come somewhere if you was out of town, sit down and eat, get a good meal, and if you was locally, you could come do the same things. So we're trying to promote black entrepreneurship.
Ski Daddy's is a restaurant located in Russellville, Kentucky, but has a food truck to bring to different locations throughout South Central Kentucky. Mike Jackson, the owner and operator of Ski Daddy's, has been pleased with the response of bringing his food truck to the very same location that Nancy's Tea Room once stood.
It's just a blessing. I mean, God's been so good to us. I mean, it only makes sense to be right there. I mean, at the right place, at the right time, you know, with the right person, with the right people. I mean, it's just great to know. You know, it's great to see.
Hip-hop has many different facets, from gangster rap to conscious rap to a form of rap that may be considered to be holier than the others.
Grace, the essence of the new covenant. 'Cause even when I can't, you still keep your promises. And I done lost a lot because of my foolishness. Then I gave my life to you, and I've been witnessing.
Christian rap, or holy hip-hop, is a mixture of rap and the gospel of Jesus Christ, and is used to minister to people of all ages and also to entertain. The trio of King Breeze, Omar Scott, and Deshaun Terry, aka DT, are collectively known as the Grace Gang and have been creating a buzz here locally.
Grace Gang, it's like you can get the streets and the church, you know, both on it, and that's exactly what's happening. Like it's a blessing, really. It's really a blessing, man. I love it.
They have taken their talent for rhyming and creating beats to apply towards educating the youth and steering them in a better direction, what they consider a more godly direction.
On our first show that Kevon was talking about, we was in Litchfield, Kentucky, and we was performing, and they was doing a song he had written, and we was just all into it, eyes closed, enjoying it. And before I knew it, we opened our eyes, and there were children at the stage on their knees crying to God. And that was an experience we never experienced before from hip-hop music. Then after it, kids were walking up to us. Well, I'm not say kids like many, but one child walked up to us and asked could we lead him to Jesus. And at that moment, I was nervous. I was looking for somebody else to do it. And then Kevon's wife said, "You a minister, why don't you do it?" So I stopped, caught myself, and we prayed.
All three men have several things in common, from their early love of hip-hop and those who influenced their talents.
Cash Money Hot Boys, No Limit Soldiers, 3-6 Mafia, Player Fly, you know, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
To a life of crime, which ultimately led them to encountering the grace of God in their situations.
My testimony, I would just like to say first and foremost, I came from a good home. I had a good mother, a good father. I was raised right. But like a lot of other rebellious children, I wanted to do what's cool. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to have money. I wanted to floss. I just wanted to be somebody. And that caused me to be rebellious, and then leading that lifestyle. If you ask for something, you're definitely gonna get it.
I came to Christ through a trial and error in my life where I was involved in selling drugs. I was caught selling cocaine to an undercover cop.
DT, a Logan County native, believes in giving back to the community and has linked up with Maurice Hampton, another Logan County native, with what is called a hype event.
He's doing a lot of things in the environment right now, so appreciate that. He's reaching out to the community, to the young people, getting them involved in basketball. And you know, I seen him about a week or two ago. He did a hype event at Russellville High School, passed out a couple bicycles, gave back to the community. So shout out to Maurice Hampton, aka Squeaky.
Grace Gang has high hopes that hip-hop can be redeemed.
The music that we grew up listening to, we have taken all that and utilizing and put it into a format to talk about the grace of God, to talk about the positivity. So we are taking that genre of music and calling it Christian rap, because now it glorifies God. It's clean, there's no profanity. It's not demoralizing anybody.
I know they be watching me, but they not stopping me. God, he be guiding me, God, he be guiding me. Look at this prophecy, look how it follow me, man, it's so honoring.
Hi, my name is Carrington Jackson. I am 24 years old. I am the director, the writer, the composer, and the producer of my upcoming short film, Paintball. Paintball is a story about a young kid named Alan Lee Ward. In the year 2000, he is put in a mental institution for the murder of his babysitter and was trying to kill his siblings in the process. And like I said, he was put in a mental institution. So the year is 2013. He is being transferred to another hospital in another state, and he breaks out. Then he returns to his hometown of Whispering Hills, Kentucky, and that's when the murder sprees start to happen. And there is his estranged mother who finds out about him breaking out, comes back to the hometown, warns the police officer, and tries to basically stop in his tracks before he can do more harm. My family loves horror films, you know, the Nightmare on Elm Street films, the Halloween film, Friday the 13th, Scream, you know. I was basically raised on that. And, but the movie that, what I would say the franchise that really kind of influenced that was Halloween, the Halloween franchise. John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance. So that's where my horror influence came from. I didn't even find out until I got here, and my cousins my twin cousins, Janae and Marquita, who influenced me to come to Western, they told me once I got here, you know that John Carpenter's from Halloween, is from Bowling Green, right? I'm like, really? And then I started thinking about, you know, hearing some of the names in the streets in Bowling Green, you know, like Russellville Road, Smiths Grove was the hospital they used to put Michael Myers in Halloween. Hardin County was put into Halloween 2, just a lot of Bowling Green references, and I got really excited. So and my major is film, so that kind of boosted up my excitement about it. So why are we on this street? Well, this is what I'm going to be using in part of my film with the three characters, which is Jody, Nikki, and Jamie are the three characters' names in the film, where they're going to be walking, just socializing after just coming from a meeting in school, just going home, and paintball is actually closing in on behind them, just watching them the whole time. So this is going to be one of the scenes where you can see them just walking, talking, talk about girl things, which stuff I don't know about. So the reason why we are here on Reservoir Hill is this is the hospital, Kenton Sanitarium, where paintball was placed all so many years and where they transferred him to, and he escaped. So this is where all of this is happening on Hospital Hill. So when I came to me creating the theme song to paintball, it was just me going back to a lot of 80s, 70s horror films and just kind of like, okay, I like how they did that there, but also making it my own. Just taking all of these creative ideas, all these creative, famous horror movie themes, Friday the 13th and Halloween, and just seeing like, I can do something like that. Bowling Green is a great city, has a lot of landmarks, a lot of good history, that people may not know about. So it is a great town to do, these types of things in. So, a lot of good landmarks and a lot of good places to shoot, great places to do, yeah. So I know I can't do all of this by myself, It's working, but I think we just need more help and just, a little bit more people to kind of back us up so we can get this done. We're looking to start shooting in July, maybe mid-August, because we want to have this out by the fall around Halloween time. You have a lot of horror fans, especially during Halloween time, looking at their favorite horror film, and maybe this can be on their list as their, favorite horror film for years to come, if, God's will, so.
On Friday nights at Blue Holler Brew Supplies, people congregate after a long week to have a few drinks and share a few laughs. On this day, folks gathered to remember a friend who left an impact on their lives. Drew Childers grew up in Alabama, but you wouldn't be able to tell that by the amount of people who called him family in Bowling Green. Jokingly dubbed the mayor of Blue Holler, people would see Drew's vehicle at the holler and stop by just because he was there. A nameplate marks the place Drew would sit at the end of the bar with a good view of the door to greet anyone who walked inside.
Drew was amazing. He was a people person. He welcomed everybody. He loved everybody. And as you can see, he brought everybody together. Everybody just loved Drew. People came from all around to talk to him, just to have a conversation. He was very educated, knew a lot about everything, and was an excellent teacher. He's a very good friend.
Not only were drinks shared and tears shed, but funds were raised in honor of an organization that Drew volunteered countless times at, the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership, also known as HOBY. HOBY is a youth leadership development organization that provides lifelong leadership developmental opportunities that empower individuals to achieve their highest potential. And Drew wanted everyone to gain their highest potential.
Drew and I became friends, and he has this huge heart and quickly became interested in this cause because it is something that serves so many youth in Kentucky and perpetuates a great message of giving back through a community service. So he jumped on board. He came to his first seminar in 2016 and immediately started volunteering as our director of recruitment. He was a liaison between the students, the schools, and the program to make sure that we were serving the best and most needy student to come to the seminar.
Drew didn't go through HOBY like most of us did. Most of us went through HOBY as students, and the fact that he jumped in and just really gave so much to these students is a testimony to how great and amazing Drew was as a person, or how we say at HOBY, outstanding.
On this night, Drew's glasses, shirts, and other items were auctioned to benefit HOBY.
We certainly miss Drew and are really glad that his parting can go to something much better and that he can continue to create this ripple effect of good in the community.
These were all Drew's items, his t-shirts or his pint night glasses from here at the Holler. We are making some shirts with Drew's face on them and selling those as well. We'll use the money to purchase materials, but the rest of that will go to HOBY.
I am so touched by everybody that's come here. Like I said, to know him was to love him, and this shows how much he was loved here in this community.
Everybody here knew Drew. This is amazing. He would be angry with me because I made a fuss over him, but he would be so happy to see that this money and his material possessions were going to raise money for a cause that he believed in.
Although Drew is gone, there will always be a spot with his name on it at the Holler.
During Parmakers Weekend, it's not unusual to find several different events happening within the Soki community celebrating African American culture. From the Parmakers historic golf tournaments to the high school reunions, a good time was had by many. In a cul-de-sac adjacent to Graham Drive, a block party was held to bring several people within the community together. Kids from Parker, Bennett, and Northern Heights neighborhoods had the opportunity to interact with service personnel from the Bowling Green Fire Department, the Bowling Green Police Department, as well as the Bowling Green Department of Neighborhood and Community Services, all in hopes to just have fun with one another.
I mean, we've always been involved in community, based events and stuff like that. So with that being said, we've always been around, the community people. So this is our way of getting everybody together, throw a block party, be able to bring people together so we can coexist and have some fun together.
McCoy hopes that similar events can get people in the community communicating with one another rather than being isolated in their homes or with their face buried in their cell phones.
Well, what we tried to do was get events and things that people can get, they can participate in it together. For example, we got cornhole. That involves some people, tossing something in a cornhole, and it don't involve a phone. It don't involve you, individually looking at something. You have somebody else there that's involved in something that you're doing. So it allows us to be able to, coexist, and even if we don't know each other, those type of games. We got a bowling game going on over there. We got a chess game going on over there. So that involves, some interaction between some peoples, and it's not the phone. So we got some activities to keep you going.
Salethia Williams is the mother of Midori Williams, the sissy of Sissy's Lemonade Stand. Williams views the block party as an opportunity to meet and mingle with some of their neighbors in a different atmosphere and to educate her children on seeing people as people.
It was such a heartwarming feeling, bringing you back to those classic movie scenes where a small town or community gets together. Because just today we come out and we didn't know anyone. We didn't know, the people that we were setting up with today. And next thing you know, we seen our mailman come through. And then we seen a local DJ, our next door neighbor. We didn't know they were coming. And so it was a pleasure to see everyone, community being community, whether you're from this side of the tracks or the other. I have a 7-year-old and a soon-to-be 2-year-old. It was good for her to see our servicemen, our police department, our fire department, out here laughing, cutting up, sipping the same glasses of lemonade as we do, when in the general perspective, all you see as them being portrayed on the media is in a negative light or surrounding negative circumstances of crime or violence or anything like that. It was humbling and very eye-opening for a 7-year-old to see that for the first time. Not realizing that we walk the same streets every day and we live the same type of life. And so it was really good for her to see that, those people are people too.
Who was Berenda? Berenda Martin was my mother. She is a mother of 4, 3 girls, 1 boy. She was loving, she was caring. She loved this community. She loved her family. She loved the Lord. And anything that was honorable that you could think of, she did it. Mom was more than just a mom to us. She was very much so a mother to just about every kid in this neighborhood. We were just talking the other day, me and my sister, about how the kids in this neighborhood called our home a safe haven because that's just who Mom was. She was not just a mother to us, but she was a mother to anyone who needed love. Berenda's Crossing was started when our mom passed away back in February of 2017. Our mom was a crossing guard at Jenkins and Scott for 37 years. We were lucky enough that she was able to train me before her passing to be a crossing guard, and I so happened to get the same position that she has. And I'm going into this year actually working with my mom's best friend as a fellow crossing guard. Her impact in the neighborhood as a crossing guard is amazing, and just to see people who have children now that are crossing that remember Mom is amazing. They all talk about how she cared for them as children and how now her daughter is able to care for their kids as children. It just brings me a lot of joy. The first thing that we did was the Positive Vibes Back to School. What we do with that one is on the first day of school, we all line up over at the crossing at Jenkins and Scott, and we give out high fives, handshakes, and just encourage the kids to have a wonderful first year or just have a wonderful year going back into school, and they really enjoy it. We actually have some wonderful partners. Crocker Law Firm has linked up with us from the beginning. Burton's Heating and Cooling, they also do things to help donate. We also have donations that come in from various members in the community, too many to name. But everybody always pitches in to make sure that these kids are able to have things like school supplies. We have a coat ministry where people donate jackets and hats and gloves, and then we also have an umbrella ministry where people are able to donate umbrellas. Those ministries are called Wrapped in Love, is where you donate the hats and gloves and the jackets, and then Covered in Faith is for the umbrellas. Mom always taught us that the best love is selfless love, to think of others first and to always be a blessing to someone else. You don't know what someone's going through. You don't know what they've been through. So just try to help them out as much as you can, whether it be a smile, a couple of dollars, a jacket, clothes, whatever it is. Just always look out for your neighbor. And that saying that we were taught when we were kids, it takes a village, is so true, because if we stick together as a village and we help out one another, we can do so many wonderful things.
Shakira Tunstall is like many other WKU sophomores who are tasked with balancing school with their personal life. But what sets her apart from most students is her podcast. Along with her co-host Robin Robinson, Shakira desired to voice her thoughts on controversial issues. So she does just that with Shakira Speaks.
It's really hard for African Americans to really get involved in anything at WKU, especially if you're in a major of broadcasting and journalism. And one day, me and my good friend of mine, Robin, we was just sitting and we was bringing up different topics about things that we've experienced at Western. And so I was like, you know what, how about we take this on to Facebook and just talk about topics that people can relate to, because a lot of the times we will catch ourselves talking to classmates and they can relate to us, or some people felt left out, or just in different cultures. So it started off just by little conversations on campus, then it led over to my Facebook on live, and then it just shooted off. We started getting a lot of views. A lot of people was interacting with the videos to the point where I was like, okay, so now I'm gonna make a name for it. So I named it Shakira Speaks, because it's basically me just interacting with a lot of people, talking about different topics and different things that people can relate to, different things that people are afraid to speak upon. So that's how I got brought up, and I'm enjoying it so far. I have a lot of people that I've had classes with that are like, we love watching your videos. I might bring up a topic where someone's like, oh my God, I'm going through that. It could be depression, it could be racism, it could be stereotypes, just different type of topics I've talked about. People will inbox me and be like, oh my God, like, I thought I was the only person to think about that. Religion, politics, and when you're young, you're afraid to speak on things. So it's nice to know that I have a voice for a lot of people who are afraid to talk. You're beautiful. Accept yourself for who you are. Acceptance is a big role in this generation, because I see a lot of insecurities floating around, and like I said, social media plays a big role in that.
Robin Robinson is also a sophomore at WKU and looks forward to interacting with Shakira on Shakira Speaks, especially being able to bring something different to the table.
Me and Shakira are two different people, and it's like two sides to one story. Like in our videos, it'll always be like, most of the time, we don't even have the same opinion about stuff. It's two completely different like ideas, beliefs, all that. But it's still, we respect each other enough to be like, yeah, like you do that, I'll do this. And we have two different beliefs. Sometimes I'm funny, sometimes I'm not. And I feel like I can connect with certain people that watch it.
Shakira doesn't view the podcast as a nuisance, but rather it is a way for her to heal and help others heal and have a voice.
It's therapy for me, because I don't really have too many friends or like that. So when I do my podcast, for me, it's like therapy, and I love to do it. It's not something I look at it like a job or a chore because I go to school for it. So for me, I love to do it. I love to get on and talk to people about different things, and I love to speak on things where people be like, well, can you talk about this? Because I'm afraid to talk about it. Or can you talk about this? Because I want to see how other people see it, because they see that I can reach to a lot of people. So it's therapy for me. I know it's therapy for her. Sometimes we talk about personal things that happen to us and we'll get emotional sometimes. So for me, I love doing it. It's nothing that drags me down at all. I love it. I enjoy it. It's something I want to continue to do.